This is an exciting day. You said welcome to Aussie and the Scotsman, but you forgot to mention we've got a special guest today. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome all the way from WA, from Perth, Mat Norris in the studio. Welcome, Matt.
How are you guys? Thank you so
G'day,
much
Matt.
thank you so much for having me on, Rob. It's good to see you.
Good to
Rowan,
see
I feel like I know you, mate. After
you.
200 odd episodes, I feel like I know you well, mate. So
Let's,
So you're the guy that's listened to them all.
there's a rumor that
I
you listened to
am the
200 episodes.
guy. I am the guy that has listened to them all. There's one I haven't listened to, and that's a bit of a crime on my behalf, and that's Kramer versus Kramer, because I've never seen it, and I don't know why I've never seen it, but it's a definite film I should have watched. So that's the only episode I didn't listen to, but I listened to all the rest, and
Really? You
just
really have?
I have listened to all of them, and even better, I listened to them in probably 6 months. I just
Oh,
belted through them.
What, when you were
And
walking, where do you listen to them?
work, walking the dog at the gym, just
making
basically.
love to his wife.
I got these new headphones for Christmas, these bone conducting headphones. So I never was a fan of over ear or ear pods, but these things have helped me out as far as using
Bone
headphones a lot more.
conducting headphones. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
No, but they could be a new sponsor. That's
The
another
bone,
segment.
They're
bone conducting
they're
Yeah, so
they're actually made for running and cycling,
Oh,
because
wow.
you can hear stuff that's going on around you while still clearly hearing music or podcasts. So for cyclists on the road, it's really good because it allows you a bit of safety factor to it. So
cool.
yeah,
Listen,
they work great for me, and
good. I
but
don't want to
yeah.
put you on the spot. I don't want you putting you on the spot. And because we're zooming to you from Perth, there is a bit of a lag here. And I believe with the audio, if we talk over each other, it's going to cut one or other of the off, one or other of us off. So your bone conducting headphones can't sort that problem out. So here's the question. Here's the question.
There's one big question.
Yeah, who's your favorite?
Who's your favorite?
Aussie or the Scotsman? Think
Yeah,
carefully. I'm controlling the knobs.
I've got
it's
the
putting me on the
franchise.
spot straight away. It's like asking who's my favorite child.
No, you don't have to answer that.
Look,
I can
I
answer it.
the diplomatic way is to go with the person you don't know. So
Oh, you what?
considering I've never met Rowan, I've got to say Rowan. I love
You
his
can't say
progress.
the diplomatic way because that means you're full of shit. Who are you more like?
Uh,
Forget like then.
Yeah.
Whose point of view do you seem to agree with more?
Who
That's
do
a.
you align yourself with?
Do you think? Yeah, I agree with him most of the time, or that guy most of the time.
Look, I've got later on. I might fire some shots to both of you, but I probably would be a little bit more aligned to Rob as far as movies
There
he's
we
liked
go.
compared to Rowan, what movies you've liked.
There
But
we
Yeah, fair
go.
enough. Well, you
I have
certainly.
I have a very wide range of movies that I like. I love them all. I love all types of movies. So I think that's why I've really loved the podcast.
Well, you're also
And I
friendly with
just
Simon, our friend Simon, who came
Simon
on
from
our
well,
Heat and
I
Apocalypse Now song.
network. Yeah,
I
yeah.
I am, and I was going to do a bit of a shout out to Simon a bit later in regards to my history with listening to your podcast. But
Okay.
just off the top, I just wanted to just say congrats, because it's not an easy thing to do, and you guys have pulled off 2 full
Hang
seasons,
I
200
said I'm
plus
stroking it.
episodes.
Hang on. There you go.
You can get back.
I'm gonna have one as well.
Hold on,
Getting
have a
tissues
Well,
ready. That's
I
the
thought,
first call.
get blow some smoke up your ass, get on the good side, and it's a good way to start. But no, genuinely,
Agreed.
guys, like I think I listen to a lot of movie podcasts, and I just think, to be honest, I was hesitant to start, but I was so glad I got into it. So just, if I can, just a quick
Oh dear. This is
history of me watching the podcast was Simon, as you guys have had on, is a very good friend. I can't believe you had that hack back on twice. That was ballsy.
he paid a lot of money.
No. Shout out to Simon. He is a very intelligent, and he's
He's very
very
smart. He
very
makes you feel like an idiot, not even
he
deliberately. You know what I mean? He's just
he
talking away, and you understand every third word.
he has, look, very good knowledge of movies. And interestingly, we talk often, and 80% of our conversations around movies and TV. we talk a bit of shit, and it just quickly goes on to what did you watch? What did you think of this? So
All right.
Simon and I do talk a lot, and interestingly, we said, we could sit here and talk shit like you guys do, but the problem with Simon and I is I think we rarely disagree, so we wouldn't have that. I think it's important to have that good banter where you disagree and you argue things. So that's the interesting thing with Simon. So he said he told me about the podcast, and Rob, I saw you at his 50th in Perth, middle of last year, and I think probably in our very pissed state, I would have rambled on about movies and stuff. But I, like I said, I was hesitant just because I was listening to lots of other podcasts and on movies and stuff. And but I listened to Tom Cruise. The Best of Tom Cruise was the first episode I listened to, and I am a massive.
You have a favourite?
Let him finish.
Oh, we've only got an hour limit.
I think Tom Cruise is fantastic. I think he's one of the most amazing for what he's done with movies for the last 45
Couldn't
years.
agree more.
Is I don't think there's anyone that can be put on top of him. I think, yes, people think he's a nutcase, and he probably is a bit of a nutcase, but who couldn't be a nutcase with that sort of status? But what he's given to movies is just phenomenal. So I listened to that podcast first, and I loved it. I loved, like you guys talking about, the best of Tom Cruise movies. And from then I went on to listening to Kick's interview. So
yes, he was fantastic as Kick.
That was great, and just that insight. I immediately watched Edge of Tomorrow straight after listening to Kick's interview, and it was gave me a different element, because that's another really good film I love is Edge of Tomorrow. And and then I thought I've got to go back. So what I do with podcasts, I like to start from on Spotify first up and just listen to them in order. So I went back and I started from scratch, and I listened to the first ones, and just started getting through them really easily. And like I said, I just thought it's just like listening to mates talk shit. It's just the conversations that I love having about movies, and I just felt straight away. I just there were so many times when I talked out loud when I was listening to an episode of you guys, because I wanted to be in the conversation. So I was going, oh, no, dude, that was because of this and blah, blah, blah. And
how good.
It was, And look, I just got through them and loved them. And look, like I said, there was lots of things I disagreed with, lots of things I agreed with. But actually, one of the funny things, I got your bloody theme music. I think one day I think I belted through about 20 episodes in a row, and there were a lot of the shorter episodes, and I couldn't get your theme song out of my head. For a couple of days later, I was walking around just going dun 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 woo woo, like it was just in my head, and it was just funny. So look, congrats, it's awesome, and it's not an easy thing to do. So good job and well done.
Matt, I think we should close the podcast.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening.
Thanks for coming on. That was amazing.
Matt, thank you very much. That's incredibly sweet. We never like getting compliments like that, but it's really lovely to hear. He gets complimented all the time.
Speak for yourself. I love compliments. That's great.
But that was...
Can I fire a few shots now?
Go for it.
Just to balance it back out?
Sure.
Please.
Rowan, sorry to say this, but Interstellar is one of the best sci-fi films ever made.
It probably is. It probably is one of the best sci-fi films ever made.
Look, I've laughed every time it's been brought up. But look, like for me, I'm a big fan of having my brain imploded and head turned inside out by just stuff like that. So that's just my one shot
It's the one, Matt, that I've had the most criticism for. Like Jewel, a lot of people will agree with me when we had that argument about Jewel and maybe Easy Rider. I wasn't such a great fan of, but Interstellar's the one that has put a mark on my back. I've had people in the street come and abuse me about my view of Interstellar, and then I've had other people agree with me. So it's quite a divisive film, I guess.
But that's what movies are. We like them. We don't have to like, we don't have to agree. We don't have to like. Everyone's got different tastes. So it's it's just a funny thing. And Rob, I was digging to fire some shots on you, and I couldn't. The one funny thing that I could only come up with was The Notebook, because The Notebook is the one film that I've never watched, and it's a bit like when Simon said he's never watched Titanic. The Notebook for me is something out of pure principle that I've never watched. The saying used to
Interesting.
go, and kids listening, please block your ears. The saying I used to go say was that I would rather masturbate with a cheese grater than watching The Notebook.
Okay.
Jesus.
And then
And
you
have
came,
you?
and then you came on, and I was at the start of the episode, I was thinking, right, Rob's going to just tear this film apart. And then you came on and just said it was one of the best, romantic films you've ever seen. So
Hmm.
I probably stand corrected. I am a fan of rom-coms. I do like them.
Have you
And
watched it
just,
though?
no, well, no, not The Notebook. And
It's not. It's a long
I
way from a rom-com.
because of what I've said
Well,
through
get the cheese
through the
grater
last
ready,
20
son.
now I feel I need to watch it because even, Yanni, my wife, said it's a really, really good film. And I don't know why you've had this thing about it.
Well, as a movie buff yourself, I'd be interested to know what you think of it because I felt the same as you. I just was the last thing I wanted to watch, and I actually watched it the night before. I'd been putting it off for that long, and yeah, loved it. Absolutely loved it. We did that one with Tiff, and another one was The Sound of Music. You've probably seen The Sound of Music, I'm assuming.
Sound of Music, definitely fantastic
Again,
film.
another one that I'd been putting off because it just didn't feel like it was up my alley. But my God, that was top three, top five of kind of musical type movies. It was brilliant, and it was
You got to let the veneer down, boys. Right? Expose your soul. Right? You've said two films you haven't watched: Kramer versus Kramer and The Notebook. They're magical films. I mean, Kramer versus Kramer. There's not many films where there's two characters really in the film, and they win Best Actor and Best Actress
mm.
and Best Film.
100%. And
And
like I
it's the
said,
simplest of plots, right?
yeah, and 100%. Like I said, it's criminal that I haven't seen
Yeah.
as a movie lover seen a film of that status, and just weird. I've just never gone to watch it. But I definitely will, and I'm worried if I watch The Notebook, I might get struck by lightning or something. Just because of all the all the years of writing it off. But yeah, so it's congrats guys, and keep going. And just the other thing, sorry to keep rambling on, but just you've had really good guests. Some of the guests you've had on, actors, directors, playwrights, just friends. Like it's just really, really
Did you
good.
have
And
a favorite show or a favorite guest?
uh I thought Jim Mesclin was pretty cool. That
Yeah,
was a
Jimmy.
really good get. Obviously Kick. I thought that insight that Kick gave just
Yeah.
into the scene was amazing. I'd probably say Kick's interview was good.
He's a
Um,
good storyteller.
yeah. The film ones. I couldn't pick a favorite. Obviously, Jewel was just hilarious. I loved it. I loved that was great.
That
Uh,
nearly ended us. That nearly ended
I
the
know,
podcast.
That
but
was a genuine
that
argument. That was
I
not, that was,
know. Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't. That's what made it so good. I think it was a genuine argument, and I think Rowan, you both. I think you both held up well. I think, like we said, you can't like everything, and everyone's got their different tastes. And I just thought I loved how you guys like argued that. It was
Can I
classic.
can,
It was,
can I ask a question? Well, this is actually quite interesting for someone that's just listened to all the podcasts, all 200 podcasts in a row. And when we started with 15-minute podcasts. There was no discussion. It was very, very quick. The idea was we were just going to kind of reminisce about a movie, and then I realized you hadn't seen any. Can you track the development of probably of both of us in terms of movie knowledge and explanations of movie? Does it get better as the 200 come to an end? Can you notice anything?
I think the way you guys discuss it together has improved, but I think uh, Rob, I think you've maintained a similar level because you came into this knowing already watching films. I think the great thing is Rowan's progress with. I think that's what's been interesting to listen to is someone who hasn't watched a lot of films who has now gone through and just literally watched so many and just seeing your different ideas, Rowan, on how you feel about different types of movies and what you're getting out of them, and you got a
It
bit more
makes it
understanding of different types of films that you probably wouldn't have watched 2 years ago or wouldn't have cared about. So, um,
and that's been the best bit of the podcast for me because the running joke is I've only ever watched Rocky and Rambo. Now I'd
no
watched,
joke.
I'd been watching a few more films than that, but they were certainly all of the same genre, right? I would
Yeah.
never have picked up 12 Years a Slave and Richard Jewell and Prisoners and Sicario and I mean Raiders of the Lost Ark we're going to talk about now. That's an easy one. We'll have a
The,
ball.
the problem is,
Yeah.
the problem is we get nothing to argue about anymore. So I keep digging. I keep trying to dig him and dig and dig and dig, but he
I'm
doesn't
sure
bite
I'm
back.
I'm sure you can get some. There's ones out there that you could watch, but yeah. Look, it's been my movie history. All of my love of movies and my movie history through the years is, I think you know, uh, early on, I think from early memories for me, I think it was musicals that like I can't pinpoint why I love movies or when it started. I just think for me, yeah, I think early we had friends, family friends that were all into theatre and stuff, and I think
Oh yeah.
I remember watching a lot of musicals like The Sound of Music, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, all those
Oh, what Chitty Chitty Bang Bang
Fantasia.
growing up. Oh, phenomenal. And
Yeah,
Mary
yeah.
Poppins
I
on
have.
repeat.
I was trying to think of my earliest memories of movies, and it's. I think it was musicals, but then I quickly went on as I got older to. I think James Bond was
Yeah.
another early. I remember going to the cinemas to see James Bond. I was a massive fan of Roger Moore.
And even
Uh,
Ferris Bueller was one of the early ones that I remember seeing. Ferris Bueller and the
oh, look
Gremlins.
that. Yeah, I think as we sort of got into the 80s, I was watching everything. So obviously the Star Wars and the Indiana Jones films and the real sort of big
And the
blockbuster
Rockies.
type
Rockies were in
films.
the early
Oh,
80s.
Rocky, yeah. Well, actually, I think my scope widened a bit with my mum dated a playwright. So my parents divorced when I was about 12, but my mum a few years later started dating a guy who produced plays in Perth, and he started taking us to lots of different types of movies. So he was taking me to obscure sort of
Art housey
films,
indies.
yeah, a lot more art housey films and stuff. And I actually did some work experience in a playhouse in Perth called, well, it was called the Playhouse, and I got to hang out with a few actors at the time. Like I caught a cab home with Rowena Wallace. I don't know if you remember
Yeah, I've heard
her.
of her. Yep.
She was in a lot of iconic
Was
Aussie
she
dramas and
was
stuff.
she in Prisoner? Maybe
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Neighbours back in the day? Yeah.
Prisoners and Neighbours, and
It was in
I shared
Neighbours.
a cab home with her one day, and she was talking to me. And remember The Professionals, the English show,
Yeah,
Lewis Collins,
absolutely.
had
Loved it.
dinner with him. So I was getting
Oh
a little
wow.
bit of an insight. But yeah, so John, his name was, the producer, took us to a lot of interesting movies. And I think when I was sort of like 14, 15, I started watching a lot more things like Scorsese, David Lynch, early Coen Brothers films. So I started to really
To
watch
to broaden.
all these.
Tell me,
Yeah. So
did you have ever have the urge to become an actor?
no, not really, or even get into I never really ever had an idea of wanting to get into that sort of career.
Hmm.
I can clearly say I don't think I ever thought, yeah, I'm sure I said, yeah, it'd be great to be an actor, or it'd be great to get into movies and stuff like that, but never thought of pursuing it. I just love watching,
Great.
everything. So
And you picked Raiders of the Lost Ark today. Why'd you pick Raiders?
Well, hang on, hang on, hang on. He's jumping the gun a little bit here. He's obviously not that interested in what you have to say, Matt, because it goes over his head when you talk movies.
It's not going over my head, but we're giving him a good run. We're a movie podcast. I want to know why he chose Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Correct. It's a movie podcast, and we're discussing movies and the history of movies and the love of movies and your development of movies.
Okay.
You're better than this.
I'll wait.
You're better. You'll wait. You can't contribute.
I can't contribute to a man I've met 15 minutes ago. No,
We're talking about movies. What about your history of movies, Ron? We know
we've
it.
done mine. We've done mine.
I know.
Matt's the guest.
So now we're listening to our guest.
Okay.
but I was still, I think, Rowan, like when you were 15, I think you probably wouldn't have gone out and watched some different types of movies and stuff.
I would not.
He was playing table tennis,
and
Matthew. He was playing table
I was
tennis.
playing table tennis
table
and
tennis.
watching Rocky and training.
Yeah. Look, and I would go from watching some weird David Lynch film to going to watch Lethal Weapon or something else. And, I just devoured cinema. I just used to go to the movies all the time as a kid, like
we talked about this actually, and the reason, what is the reason that people go to movies? Is it to escape? Is it to put yourself into a different world? Is it just to be absorbed by a new experience? I mean, back in the day when we were kids, there is no other option. I mean, you go down to the video store and you get a video, but really when there's 2 or 3 epics on, like Indiana Jones, you take yourself down to the movie and you just get lost in it for a couple of hours. It was a full experience back then.
I agree. It is escapism. It's widening your scope, your mind about different stories, different things that happen in life. It's watching unbelievable things. It's just it's just a getaway, and it's not.
One thing we've never spoken about, but I believe is true. Watching movies over and over, lots of different movies, lots of different genres, is quite educational. Now, the storyline might be silly, and Interstellar, for example. Okay, now he thinks it's fanciful nonsense, but it is built on some kind of theory. And lots of movies teach you a little bit about something. So I think you gather knowledge from that as well. In a way, maybe not quite like reading a book, but not dissimilar.
Well, you consuming content, right? So anytime you're consuming content, you're going to broaden your horizons. It's whether you believe in it.
And exactly what you say. You say you've broadened your horizons by watching all these other movies, Kramer versus Kramer and Jewel. I know you hated Jewel, but it kind of added to the movie knowledge that you have.
You can't always watch films you like. You watch films that you like and you don't like, and you know what it actually makes you know what you do like when you watch a film that you don't like. That makes sense.
But watching something you don't like and making mistakes is how you learn to be better at things in general. So not liking Joe as a reference you can fall back on, and you can explain now why it didn't resonate with you.
100%.
Yeah. And I can see, Matt, you got 2 posters behind you. You got Kill Bill and Reservoir Dogs for those that can't see. 2 brilliant films. I think have we done Reservoir Dogs?
We have not. Oh. But we should.
I don't think you've done Kill Bill either.
We have not.
We haven't. I can't get the big man to watch it.
That's bullshit. I would watch both. I've seen Reservoir Dogs, which I love.
What do you think of this? Watches movies on his phone, as you probably know.
Yeah, I think
incoming.
Yeah.
That was a deep backswing. That was a backswing, wasn't it? Go on.
Next question. Look, Rowan, the same thing as I think Simon and you guys have, and you've discussed it many times, is that sometimes films you just got to see in a type of, whether it's on a big screen or a big TV, it just helps capture certain things. Like, again, Interstellar would be a classic example of that. I think you would lose a lot of its effect by watching it on a phone compared to, say, a big screen or a big TV. So, it's, look, I watch stuff on my phone and my iPad, but it's more, if it's a big screen
stuff.
If it's a big screen type of movie, it's got to be watched on a big TV for me anyway.
Okay.
But again, each to their own. Each their own. You now are a podcaster, a movie podcaster. You've got to get through movies any way you can. I was just listening the other day to I think it was Empire podcast, and they were talking about having to consume so much content that they have to watch it. They have to watch things on their phone, when they're on the train or doing other things, because otherwise they don't have time to get through it all. So
they're also watching current movies as well.
So that is right. There's a practical element around time that I have to use my phone because I don't have the luxury of sitting down and popcorn and watching 2 hours dead straight. But it's how you consume and what you're wanting to consume. So yes, there are some films that are better on the big screen, whether it's F1 or Interstellar. Interstellar could be on.
Okay.
Right. But for me, I'm consuming the written and the spoken word. So as long as I can hear it, that's the part that I'm, and that's, we can argue all day long.
There are certain movies that have to be watched on a bigger screen, bigger than your phone.
I'm sure I just said that.
Apocalypse Now being one, Sicario being another. In fact, we're going to do 2 movies with you. So, we're going to do Raiders of the Lost Ark now, and then you're going to come back and we're going to do Sicario. And you texted me to say, please watch Sicario on a bigger screen. We'll find out whether he did or not after that.
We'll have to find out.
But I think we have been chatting for a little bit. I think we should probably get on with the podcast and the reason that we're here, unless there's anything else you want to talk about. We can
Oh,
bring it
look,
to the
I
next
think
podcast.
just something really quick that I was going to. We could probably start in the next podcast, but I was going to talk about kids and their current day and watching movies for kids and being a bit scared of them losing the experience that we just talked about when it comes to expanding your mind, hearing different stories. I think due to their attention span and
Correct.
willingness to sit down and properly watch a movie. And I is it okay if I carry on just a little bit more now?
Sure, yeah,
Or
yeah, of course. No
yeah,
problem.
I just what you mentioned video shops before, and for me growing up, going to the video shop for me
Isn't
was
it?
like Homer in a beer factory.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was a big thing for me, and we used to live. Our local Blockbuster store was the second last one in the world to be open in Morley in Perth. So even as we were starting to stream things, I was still taking the kids down to Blockbuster
Hmm.
to rent movies because I knew that
What
this
year
was
was
the
that?
last.
What year are we talking?
Oh shit, this was probably 2016, somewhere around there, maybe
All
10
right.
years ago.
Yeah.
So this Blockbuster just held out as long as it could, and I just kept. I knew it was the last possible chance, and for me, taking the kids to the video shop, walking down the aisles, picking movies is just something I knew that they would never get to do. So it was really important to get to keep that going as long as we could, and unfortunately, it closed down as they all did eventually. But I just I'm concerned that kids are now losing that ability to really experience movies because of their inability to pay attention, and they're missing out on a lot of great experiences.
Well, they are, and Netflix and Amazon, and they're all knowing this, and they're now making movies. I mean, the most recent movie that's Ben Affleck and Matt Damon have just
Oh,
made
what
on
The
Netflix.
Rip. I was going
Yeah.
to bring that up because I was actually going to bring that up with Sicario because I watched it the other night. I won't say anything else. But yeah, go on. Sorry, Ron.
Well, no, only that they have Netflix came to them and said, "We want people are on their phones. We want you to, usually you've got a beginning, a middle, and an end, and in the middle you've got your big action sequence, and then you kind of lull off a little bit, and then you get your final action sequence." Netflix asked them to add a couple of additional big scenes. The first one to capture your attention, and then you can have a little bit of a lull, but really they want it to be intense, and they want the action scenes to be there, so that the kids now will sit and watch because like you having loved movies and watched movies, there are so many I wanted my kids to watch, but they're way too slow for them to sit and watch. I mean, can you imagine sitting watching The Deer Hunter or a kid watching The Deer Hunter? I mean, that
Mm.
first hour is so slow, even though it's all about the build up and the explanation of the friends. So I agree with you. It is a shame.
I'll just give you an insight
It's
into Netflix, right? So they call it second screen content, right? Because they expect that everyone is on their phone and the second screen is the movie running. So they make people like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, they've told them you need to repeat the plot
Yeah,
five
well, that's
times.
true as well.
Five times, right? Because you've got to act like people aren't paying attention. And my eldest son, Ollie, my second eldest son, Ollie, who's been on the podcast, was telling me the other day he's watching a show and it was like it was made for idiots because it was a criminal breakout and they would move rooms and they say, okay, let's summarize where we're up to. Da,
Yeah.
da, 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 da. Then they walk to another room. Have you got it? You know we're going to go. And they repeated it over and over because they realized Netflix. No one's fully watching. They're not fully engaged. This second screen content term is what Netflix are all about.
Probably for younger kids as well.
100%.
look,
Because we're all
yeah,
sitting there playing on our phone. Oh, you're half listening, half paying attention.
yeah. My wife, I argue a lot with her because she's just on her phone, and you just feel like she's not engaged and not taking it in. So you're right about. I think writers, directors, they're all focusing on what audiences are watching, and it's really sad to hear that they're creating scripts and writing screenplays thinking that people are going to be not paying attention. It's really sad. I don't know. Did you guys see Dead
So,
Reckoning, the last
sorry
Mission
to interrupt.
Impossible?
It's not what they're watching, it's how they're watching. So this is a new concept, right? So what they're watching has always been a thing, right? People have got to find the consumer's interest. Now, this is the first time in history how people are watching, right? They're figuring out people aren't just sitting there fully engaged. I mean, think of having to have second screen content and repeating a message because your user, I'm trying to think of a good analogy. Imagine driving a car and people aren't fully focused, so you've got to do something else this is a pretty bizarre world.
It is. That's why going to the movies is such a great experience still. And we went to see Marty Supreme recently. That just came out, I think, last week.
I was going to ask you guys about that.
Yeah, loved it. I mean, the podcast is out now, but it was great. It was great. We loved it. And it was great to see Chalamet in this particular role. It was fast-paced, but you can listen to that podcast to find out more. But I agree. And then AI, I watched this morning, I watched this AI content, this AI-made movie trailer. It had The Rock. It had every movie star just as an AI figure, and it was about the slap. But it was so engaging, and I thought afterwards, this would be a brilliant movie, which is why they did it. So we're heading into
the Alex Dimitri artist show, The Slap.
No.
Oh.
No.
Yeah, we're
heading into different.
Big rabbit hole with that type of what you're saying with AI content and stuff. But yeah, look, I just think for parents and everyone, parents themselves, is try and sit down with your kids and get rid of the phones and try and get them to watch a movie. We did Christmas, we did Die Hard, Gremlins. We did a bunch of really good old 80s films, no phones.
How old are your kids?
My daughter's 16 and my son's about to turn 14. So they argued a bit, but I think in the end they were, they love them. They love both films. So we're just trying to, I'm trying to get them to do that more often. And I think if I hope kids everywhere are doing it as well, because it'd be a shame for kids to lose that type of joy and escapism and. Yeah.
And that's why now it just has to be that sizzling start. I mean, I now only pick movies to try and watch with my kids if I know that the first scene is going to grab them.
Yeah. Yeah. My son blew me away a couple of weeks ago. He sat and watched The Pursuit of Happiness without me bringing it up, or I was just like, wow, what'd you pick that for? And he said, don't know, but he sat through it and watched it and really liked it. So that was a surprise.
What was really interesting about Marty Supreme was there were more kids in that show than in any other movie I'd seen recently. Teenagers. Yeah. But still going to the movies, it was great. A couple of them walked out actually, but I was surprised.
I reckon Chalamet has that. He opens the younger audience market, and he's only 30 himself, right? So I think so. Have we lost Matt?
Oh, Matt's frozen. Matt has frozen. We have a potential issue. Did this not happen once before?
It could have.
Did it not? I think so. Let's see if he reconnects. We can talk between ourselves for a little bit.
I want to ask him about his bomber's hat.
Yeah, so he might be jumping off, and then maybe we'll jump back on. So we shall keep talking.
Oh, you want to keep talking? You don't want to pause?
Nah, we'll just keep going, see if he reconnects.
Play the music. I'm itching to play the music.
You can play the music. Okay, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll pause for a second, and then we shall come back.
Okay, come back.
So I'm still recording, so you're going to have to snip this.
Oh, yeah, intermission.
Okay. Yeah, when you come to edit the video. Yeah. Should we snip? So we can do the whole audio bit?
He's back.
He's back.
Chuck's back.
So we'll start again. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey. Got
so
you back.
You want to?
We missed the last 15 minutes. Can we start again?
You want to turn your video? There you go. Yeah, it did pop up.
Right?
You had a bit of a low internet connection when we first started, but that's fine. You're back now.
Can you just go back to so you've watched all 200 movies?
Hang on one sec. He's going to have to start.
That's funny.
What did you hear last?
Okay, so I'm just going to do that is our cutting and for editing purposes.
Yeah.
So I'll
just
now.
give me 30 seconds. I'll just get some other stuff turned off. Hang on.
Sure.
No worries.
So
guys, can you turn off your Wi-Fi?
Yeah. My Wi-Fi also just shut down.
Yeah, just if you can all turn all your devices off for a bit.
How funny.
it's not too bad here, but it does have at moments. I think Saturday morning,
Cool. All right.
There's a lot more usage. Where did you get up to?
Okay, hang on a sec. Everyone just take a breath.
Like that.
Hang on.
Yeah. What's going on?
Okay, and welcome back. We've got Matt back. We had a little bit of connection issues, but he's told his kids to turn off their Wi-Fi. So there's more. We've got more power hitting your laptop.
Got more juice.
Got more juice.
There you go.
Place like Back to the Future.
Full throttle.
Where were we?
We were.
I think we were talking about kids watching movies and paying attention. Or being able to pay attention. But I think I asked the question, I don't know if you heard it, I haven't been to a cinema session where it's been full of kids recently. So I was asking if you guys know that if you go to a daytime session of a movie, like on school holidays, full of kids, are they all on their phones in the cinema? Or do you think they're all sitting there watching?
Great question. The only kid I've seen at the movies on their phone is the kid sitting next to me. It is ridiculous. I promise. He's checking his phone. He's writing notes.
Making notes.
And he doesn't even have the decency, right, to put his lighting down to the kind of the bottom setting.
No, I did the second time, not the first.
You got to wear blinkers, and I have to sit about four seats away, and then he's like, Robbie, why are you sitting so far away, mate? Robbie.
Don't touch me. That was once. You're going to take notes.
Let's see how professional podcaster, you're allowed to do that.
What's that?
As a professional podcaster, you're allowed to do that in a movie. You got to take notes. And
thank you, Matt. That's 2-0 Rowan.
When we get to the stage of hiring out our own place. Okay, let's get on with it.
That's why Rob can't remember anything, because he sort of watches. Anyway. Tell me.
Oh, good. Was that it? Was that your dig?
That was
hilarious. Very funny. He's good.
Now you've got an Essendon hat on. You've seen our promo. I'm wearing a Carlton top. I mean, them fighting words. That hat.
Well, you're lucky I wasn't going to put my Guernsey on, because that was just to pay respect. I was going to get the old sleeveless Guernsey out and give that a crack. But
who's your favourite bomber all time?
All time, Dustin Fletcher is my all-time favourite. I would switch sides for James Hird, just as a player and a
cheat.
But let's not go there. Let's not go there. Let's not go down there. Let's go.
Hey,
that's a different podcast.
But look, this is a different podcast. I think we said earlier that I could talk days and days about footy. It's a big passion. I've been an Essendon supporter since I was 9 or 10, and like I said, have needed a lot of football therapy over the last couple of 20 odd years. So
yeah, if we talk footy, we'll talk between about 1986 and 1993. Well, we might end before 93.
Okay, before everyone starts turning off.
For both of us.
What's that?
Yeah, let's stick to let's have this conversation again, Rowan, on a different platform for sure.
Different podcast.
Sure. Exactly right.
Let's start another one. Aussie and the Aussie talk sports. Right, I'm taking us now to Raiders of the Lost Ark. Oh, hello. I don't know if I can hear the tune. Can you hear that?
Can you hear that, Matt?
No, we can't.
I can't hear the tune. But I'm assuming it's the famous, the famous theme.
How good is that tune?
Could you hear that?
I couldn't. No.
So we play the starting theme tune, which you didn't hear, and you can't hear this because of all the tech that's not working 100% as it should. Anyway, let's now give you a little summary, give the audience a summary of the brilliant Raiders of the Lost Ark, directed by Steven Spielberg, produced by George Lucas, and released in 1981. Raiders of the Lost Ark introduced the world to Indiana Jones, played by Harrison Ford, a globe-trotting archaeologist with a whip, a fedora, and a knack for getting into and out of deadly situations. This story is set in 1936, and it follows Indy as he races against Nazi forces to recover the Ark of the Covenant, a biblical artifact said to hold immense power. With help from his feisty ex, Marion Ravenwood, played by Karen Allen, and his Egyptian ally, Salah, played by John Rhys Davies, Indy dodges booby traps, Nazis, snakes, and ancient curses in a non-stop thrill action-packed adventure. That's my summary. As always, I'm going to throw to you, Matt, to ask you, A, why you brought it to us, and B, what did you think?
Well, you might need to slow me down on this one, so feel free to cut in any time. For me, this is the greatest action adventure film ever made. It is a masterclass in filmmaking. It's an iconic film in so many ways. It's brilliantly directed. It's brilliantly paced, edited, cinematography, acting, set pieces, pretty much every aspect of filmmaking, I think, is in this film, done very, very well. And look, when I say iconic, I have a clear memory of watching this in the cinemas, not really knowing much about it, but I remember some vision of leaving the cinemas just blown away. And I think within 2 days, we used to live on 5-acre property, and I had a rope as a bullwhip. I had my dad had a similar fedora hat. I had a toy gun, and I was running around my yard pretending to dodge Nazis and big spiders and snakes. And as far as testing the time, as being still a relevant movie, I think it still stands the test of time as again, still considered the greatest action adventure film ever made. So yeah, for me, it's a classic.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to expand on that a little bit later, but I will move to the Aussie. Aussie, what do you reckon?
I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's just a fun-loving, brilliant film, right? You've got all the ingredients. You've got George Lucas, Spielberg. You left someone off when you let in with John Williams, because the music plays a huge part in this film, no matter what the scene, and we can talk through that later on. But everything about Indiana Jones is so brilliant. And there's not many films. We talk about people like Madonna with one name. If you say Raiders, you don't say Raiders of the Lost Ark. You just say Raiders, and everyone knows what you're talking about.
I think that's total nonsense. I thought you were about to go, if you just say the word Indiana, then people will know the character you're talking about.
It's the same thing. Raiders. You just say, "What are you watching?" I'm watching Raiders. Everyone knows what you're talking about.
If you're watching Raiders,
You don't agree?
I've never heard that before.
Oh, and you'd say I'm watching Raiders of the Lost Ark. Nah,
I agree with Rowan. I think Raiders is iconic, and I have a interesting issue that they changed the name to Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, which pissed me off and that was because of the box set, so you could get all the names looking the same. It was all Indiana Jones and the blah blah blah. But to me, it's Raiders. I agree, Ryan. You go anywhere and you say, "Have you watched Raiders?" You don't. Most people say Raiders. They don't say Raiders of the Lost Ark, because
say Raiders, 100%.
Everyone knows Raiders. It's an
iconic term. I'm growing up, you would just say Raiders, and then what's your favourite one? Because I don't even know all the names of the crystal skulls. I've seen them all.
No, but if I was saying, what's your favourite Indiana Jones movie? Yes, you'd go Raiders. But I wouldn't, if you were just in general conversation. Just in general conversation, what do you think of Raiders? What Raiders? the football club? The footy? No, movie. The Raiders. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
You've grown up somewhere else. For people around these parts, this is what you're saying?
Yeah.
And his outfit. Another big piece of the film is his gear. I've been to 100 dress-up parties, and every single time there's an Indiana Jones in the room. The hat, the whip, the look.
I think I did that once for your party.
Yeah, you did indeed.
Oh, yeah, no, I will tell you what I think as well, actually, guys. Thank you for both of you for asking me. So what I thought of it was...
Come on.
Rubbish. It's total rubbish.
You're joking. You are joking.
I am joking.
Of course you are. I'm joking. Say that is the show, and we don't want to be like that. It's an agreement show.
This is the nostalgia at its finest. I mean, I would watch the shitty fucking Indiana Jones, Crystal Skull, and even the last one, because it's Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford is possibly up there as one of the top, most charismatic actors. I mean, how handsome is this guy
Yeah.
as a leading man, particularly in this first one.
You stole my thunder, Rob, because I actually consider Harrison Ford in Raiders as the best-looking male character in movie history. There is
that's
no
a
one.
big rub. Well,
There
wait
is
for
no
that-
male character. I'll take. You talked about Christopher Plummer in Sound of Music being a handsome fellow. Whatever you throw at me, Brad Pitt, anything. Harrison Ford in Raiders of the Lost Ark is the best looking male character in movie history.
I've got a question in Rowan Reminisces later on.
Can we have a think about that?
Yeah, we'll come back to you. I think you. I mean, you're one-eyed.
It would make a good episode, actually.
It's a great episode. I'm thinking. I'm thinking Burt Reynolds. I'm thinking.
I'm not going to give you my one. I'll give it to you later on.
Some of the golden Cary Grant.
Nah.
We'll come back later
done.
on to that because that's part of Rowan Reminiscences.
I'm going to have a think about that. It's a great call, and I am going to have a think about that as we go on.
So tell me, when you say nostalgia, I just want to pick up on do you like it because you liked it as a kid? Because Matt said he liked it today. We all watch it. We rewatch for the show.
Yeah.
I loved it today even.
It's like a warm blanket. Watching it is like a warm blanket.
Such a backhander. Did you like it?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But stop using nostalgia as I liked it then, so I sort of liked it now. If you watched it for the first time now, could you like it?
Oh, definitely.
There you go.
Definitely. And I tell you what it reminded me of, actually, like the James Bond movies. There were so many connections to Bond, whether it's the kind of the quick start with the action sequence, and then it brings him back to his university situation.
And he's a ladies' man. He's very suave.
Whether it's Q and James Bond, or it's this other guy who is its sidekick in this movie, very similar.
Can I jump in? Interestingly, George. So just the history of the character is interesting. I hope I don't steal any trivia, Rob, later on. But
please do.
George Lucas came up with this character before Star Wars. In the early to mid 70s, he wanted to create a character that was a bit based around some swashbuckling type of shows or series that were in, like Buck Rogers, Zorro, those types of films. So he had this idea for this sort of this type of character. And really interesting story was George Lucas and Steven Spielberg took off to Hawaii when Star Wars was released in 1977. They had this little pact that they used to do this when a movie would come out, and they would relax somewhere and wait for the call to come in on how the film was doing. So Steven Spielberg and George Lucas were sitting on a beach in Jaws. Imagine this, waiting on the numbers coming in with Star Wars while they were discussing, next projects. And Spielberg really wanted to do a Bond film. He was like super keen on doing a Bond film, but at the time they were only using English directors. So that's when George Lucas said to him, "Well, I've got this character that I've been thinking about," and at the time his name was Indiana Smith. And he was like, it started as Indiana Smith, and apparently one of the first things Spielberg said is, "Can we change? I don't know about Smith. Can we maybe change the name?" And Spielberg came up with Jones. So from that point, on one side, they're watching the box office of Star Wars coming in while they're discussing creating Indiana Jones on the other side, and that's sort of how it formed. Because George Lucas knew that he was going to hopefully do a sequel to Star Wars, and he thought, well, why don't you take on this project? And he wrote the story and created the character, and that's how it sort of started for them.
And just as an add-on to that, and maybe you've got this in there as well, the reason they brought Sean Connery in for The Last Crusade was a bit of an homage back to Bond, because Spielberg wanted to direct a Bond but couldn't, so they brought Sean in.
Yeah.
That movie.
And they quickly realised that they needed the character to be more, I think, more well-rounded and a bit more sort of realistic in they didn't want to have this sort of James Bond style character that just was so good at everything and just knew, just got away with everything and just did everything so easily. So they wanted the character to be a bit more grounded and a bit more realistic. And I think they did such a good job to. I think why Indy is so appealing as a character is that
It's flawed.
he's a bit more grounded. Yeah, he's flawed. He's a bit selfish in his pursuits of archaeology stuff. You know, he cops a lot of beatings. He's he's a bit nerdy. So, you know, Harrison Ford, just jumping back to him, like I just think did such a good job in creating this character that was just we could all relate to in some sort of way, even though he was obviously still quite a strong person and.
And that harks back to his looks and the way that he can portray a character. You know, that brooding nature of Harrison Ford, the way that he can look. He plays shocked better than anyone. That face that he pulls when he's shocked is fantastic. But he's got that cheeky, roguish, boyish charm, which was perfect for this role.
And
and you see that transform really quickly from the opening scene, which I actually consider one of the greatest introductions to a character. We see Indy, we don't see his face until you're following him through the jungle and they're building this sense of dread. We're focusing on his helpers who are finding poisonous darts, and you're just getting this sense of dread, but you're just seeing this silhouette of this man from the back and you don't know who he is, and he just turns around with his bullwhip and smacks that gun out of that guy's hand, and then he pans in on his face, and it's just a brilliant introduction. And then from there we're taken on, I think, one of the greatest opening sort of action sequences with his trip through the cave and to find the idol. It's just brilliant. And then from that scene where he jumps in the plane and it goes to this little element of he's scared of snakes and he's sitting there like,
and the music,
freaking out about this big snake. Yeah. Well, interestingly, the first time we hear the famous theme is when he was being chased and he grabs the vine and he swings out into the water to try and get to the plane. And you hear that for the first time. So it's interesting that's the first time you hear it. But from that plane scene where we're quickly introduced to him as a university lecturer and just seeing him as a little bit of a excited nerdy sort of type of architecture
archaeologist.
He's archaeologist professor. And it's just so brilliantly done that all the girls love him, and he just does that so well. So immediately you get a sense of this guy's like really realistic and grounded, and
when you say realistic,
relatable.
The one for me, the scene for me, which is later in the film, is when he's in the village and that warrior comes with an amazing swordsman, right? And the crowd pulls back. Now, if it's a normal film, they'd give him a sword and he'd have a great battle with him. And he just looks at this guy with the sword and he's doing all this with the sword and he sort of shrugs his shoulder because he's got to find Marion like this, pulls his gun, shoots him in 2 seconds. And that's the way, and that's why it's a brilliant film for me.
Matt, do you want to tell him the trivia on that bit?
Well, if you're happy for me to take over some trivia. So interestingly, they did film a actual sword fight with him, but at the time the whole crew had dysentery and pretty much everyone apart from Steven Spielberg came down with his illness, and they were all toasted and crap. So they tried to film this scene, and it was Harrison Ford that basically he was
sick,
struggling. He was sitting down. He was boiling hot. And he just said to Steven Spielberg, "Can't I just shoot him?" And that's how that iconic scene came about. So
because that's what you would do.
And there actually is footage of this. I saw footage of the actual sword fight that they filmed, but you can see they're focusing in on Harrison Ford just struggling and not being able to do it, and it ended up becoming the most iconic.
Yes,
it's one of the most well-known scenes and clever scenes. And again, just the comedy element to Raiders that just drops in.
That's right, but it's right though, because if you were fighting him and he's got this gun on his hip, I would be screaming at the screen, why isn't he just shooting him? Right? So how it came about by luck or design, I don't care. Great insight you've just
Yeah.
given us.
Oh,
But the way he shrugs his shoulders, like, I've got to keep moving here, boom, shoots him. It's so good because he wants the great battle. And that's what Indy's like. He's witty, he's down to, you've all said the right things, right? He's relatable, you know. He doesn't like snakes. Why does it
yeah.
have to be snakes? It's got that element of wit the whole way through and action. It's non-stop.
And the set pieces from the start are unbelievable. The detail in all the set pieces. I mean, you're taken back to another world for all of it. And it's set early on. It's like 1937, 1938.
Oh, well, the first piece when he's got to get the sand, and even the way he's got to get the same amount of sand for the weight, and he drops the sand out with the first gold head he's going after.
And you know, at Universal Studios,
I think,
they recreate that.
That's the ride. You're a ride.
Well, it's not a ride; it's a show that they watch, an Indiana Jones show, and the ball comes down the cliff. But last month or 2 months ago, that ball for the first time malfunctioned and fell off the ride, and I think into the audience, and certainly hit a crew member. So now, since then, or for the weeks after, they still put the show on, but they didn't have a ball. They just had Indiana Jones running down the hill, looking back as if there was a ball. You can check that out probably on YouTube or Instagram somewhere. But that ball
I think
scene
another
itself
thing
is
that
brilliant.
I think,
Oh, the ball scene's famous. Go on.
absolutely, and the thing that again makes this film stand out so much is that the realistic set pieces and action sequences are white knuckle, some of the best you've ever seen, and they still are when you watch them today. And it's because they have this realism. I mean, they built all the sets, everything was done. You know, Harrison Ford did a lot of his own stunts. It just has that realism that is these days a lot done by CGI, and it's just so well done in every aspect. You think of all the action sequences are just brilliant even today. Like the scene, you know, the scene in Nepal in the bar, like that action sequence is brilliantly done. The way it's shot, the colors, the intensity of it, the sound. It's just brilliant. And geez, we can't go past the horse and the chasing the ark in the
Before we get to chasing the ark,
like,
I need to ask you one. Well, I'm going to give you my favorite scene. Maybe you guys can give us your favorite scene. When they work out, when they're in Egypt and he's with Belloq, and he works out that the Nazis are digging in the wrong place because the stick of wrath is too long. You know, when they work that out, they're digging in the wrong place. We are the monarch of the sea. You know, when they start singing, it's magical. When they work out that they've got 10, because it reminds me a lot of Die Hard, right? So many versus one in the confined environment. He keeps coming back. They're trying to catch him, Dr. Jones, like they're catching John McClane.
Dr. Jones.
Right? And just the way when he works out that they're digging in the wrong place, they're laughing at, because he was so brilliant. He was so smart as well, right? He had worked out that the stick was too short that the Nazis were using.
Yeah. And straight after that, he nearly dies from eating a poisonous date that Salah grabs out of his hand just after they've had that little, like,
the monkey.
Yeah, bad dates. Poor monkey.
That little monkey.
Yeah. Favorite scenes.
Did you have a favorite?
It's hard to go past the opening for me. I wouldn't say it's definitely my favorite scene, but when you look at, like I was saying before, introducing a character and just setting you up for the whole film, the music, the editing, the intensity of that first scene is just so well done. And you know, spiders, whatever it was just awe-inspiring. You know, just the way they did it, and you know, introducing Belloq as the enemy early on, like that was pretty cool. And just him running from all the tribe while they're firing darts, and that's a bit of a funny one as well, because you think, how bad are these guys at shooting darts and firing arrows? God,
shocking! You could help them if only you spoke Vitos. And he takes off. That's a brilliant. Yeah. I know we've just done the first scene, but when he is running to the plane and the dust is coming off him, and the darts are missing him, and they're playing the music for the first time.
It's gold. It's absolute
You're
gold.
6'5". I mean,
Yeah.
you're thinking, fucking, how good is this? There's no
It's just
warm-blooded
and the,
male
and the,
or female that doesn't like that scene.
Everyone wants to be indie.
and the score and the score that we haven't heard the iconic theme yet, but the music that builds in. So you see that spike come out from the wall, and it's got that body of his friend on it that is another professor, and it cuts into this really good action sort of theme that kicks in as they're swinging across that trench, and the bit where he slams the the stepping stone, he slams the thing down and the arrow comes out and pretty much hits the log between his face, and he gives it to his sidekick and he says, "Wait here," and he goes, "If you insist, senor."
It's a great line.
I've
got that written here. If you insist, senor. He doesn't.
Yeah, it's like, and that's Alfred Molina, who's actually quite a famous actor as well. It was one of his first roles. But yeah, so many favorite scenes for me. But if I had to pick one, it would be the opening
And I
scene.
think that we talk about this a lot as well, about what makes a fantastic movie, and it's always for me, if I can think back about that movie and remember specific parts, and if it resonates and I can remember it, not remember it, but specific scenes. And in this movie, there's 4 or 5 specific scenes, like the sequel or the prequel, actually, when he pulls the heart out. In this one, we've got...
That's in the second film.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, in each film,
that's when he does that whole chant.
And then they're getting lowered in. We can talk about the sequels in a second. But the chase scenes are in a feature of every film.
Yep.
The mazes or the puzzles that Indy has to solve in every movie, there's always that element there. It's also an epic movie. You're on planes, you're on trains, you're going from country to country. It takes you essentially all around the world.
Yep.
I think it's
and the hand-to-hand fights as well. He's always in a fight. Like the fight he has with the guy near the plane, right? I remember as a kid, I thought it was unbelievable. I mean, now it does look a little dated when he backs back into the plane, the big guy.
I know it's definitely dated a little bit in that way. But what's great about watching this again is, having watched all 5 movies, is that the story arc with Marion that's going to continue throughout. You know that he's got a son eventually, and Shia LaBeouf comes into it. So it's really good to watch it again. And even in the second one with, I've forgotten the little guy's name.
Lily Capture or Short Round.
Yeah,
he presented. He presented.
Yeah, Harrison Ford.
Yeah,
and he's in Everything Everywhere All at Once. So just knowing that story arc, I think is great. It's just a childhood memory that still stands the test of time.
Can I jump back to Marion? I actually think Marion is one of the best female characters again in movie history. I think.
What a big call.
Looking back to. I just think there's, we've talked a lot about Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones, but I think another thing that makes the film so good is the supporting cast. And I felt Marion, especially rewatching it again, as she is a great female character. And the scene at the start when they're reintroduced to each other in Nepal in the bar, it's actually a really clever emotional scene, because you get an immediate sense of their past, and something happened that really, messed her up and caused her a lot of grief. And they very cleverly do that with minimal dialogue. And she is so good. She goes from the drinking competition to then, punching Indy in the face. I think she is great. And she's a big reason why this film is so good.
And it's very cleverly written, because they show how good a drinker she is. And then when she drinks with Belloq later, when she's trying to get out, is a great scene. She's getting him drunk and she grabs the fork or the knife and she says, "Time to go now." Tell me, did she remind you of Margot Kidder from Superman?
Yeah.
They look similar.
Well,
they look similar.
Well, not only did they kind of act similar, I had a reference here that Harrison Ford is like Superman, because he's got the one persona as the archaeologist teacher, and then he's got the other one with the fedora and the whip.
Yeah, that's a good get. He is, because there's Clark Kent and Superman. He doesn't change names, but he changes personalities. He's the mild-mannered university lecturer getting an apple on his table, and then all of a sudden, They turn up at his house. They want you. The Americans want you to go for it. You're going after the Ark. He's packing a knife, packing a gun. Sorry, in the suitcase.
And there's two more scenes that stick out for me. The one is in Marion's bar when the fire happens and the guy reaches into the pit to pick out the medallion and burns his hand. And obviously the final scene with the face melting.
Yeah. So good. So good. And the effects of that, can look a little dated, but still it doesn't matter. It doesn't draw back. It's a great scene. And
have you watched this with your kids?
I just recently watched it again with them. So they had already seen it. So again, it was, they watched all of the films a couple of years ago.
I don't know if mine would have seen it.
Yeah, they get like this is what we're talking about before with kids watching movies. It's just like sitting down watching from start to finish. Yeah, they love them. They love them all. Interestingly, they like Temple of Doom better. And I think Temple of Doom is more of a film a little bit targeted to kids, I think. Rob, you said we would talk about the sequels and that after, but I don't know if we want to come back to this later. But
I just want to do one more bit on this film before we start going into the other ones. You mentioned Kick earlier in the podcast. When I was growing up with Kick and his brother, we used to watch Indy a lot. And the one common line still to this day, the two of them will say to me, is the final line of the film when they finally get the Ark and they're back with the Americans. And where's the Ark now? Who's looking at it? Top men. I will have Kick text me top men about anything randomly in the middle of the night when he's overseas. It's just such a great line. Who's got it? Top men. It gets repeated. It's so good.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And just seeing the Ark get wheeled into that warehouse at the end, and then the music
very frustrating.
It's just, but just that's that's probably what would happen. And I think the interesting thing is, in the end, it was not more about Indy getting the Ark. It was more that he stopped the Nazis from getting it.
Yeah, correct.
So I think you were sort of happy for them to not get the Ark themselves. So you were happy to see it. Even though Indy was pretty pissed off in the end, seeing it hidden in that warehouse and finishing that way was just like
very clever.
Fair enough.
They don't know the time they're making sequels or prequels.
No, that's true. But I did think the other part I thought was very cleverly done was when he finally does get the bazooka, and he chases it on the horse, great scene, and then he's got the bazooka and he says, I'm going to blow it up, right? And then Belloq says, okay, leave him. You want to know what's inside here as much as we do. Go on, we'll all walk away, we'll all die together. And then he goes, and he can see he slowly puts the bazooka down, right? Because it's a bluff, because he wants to know. We all want to know what's inside it, right?
It's all about his passion for archaeology. And I think there was a really good, there was a bit of a love-hate relationship with him and Belloq, because they both, even though Belloq was working for the Nazis, there was that scene where they
speak
in
about
Cairo,
it.
where and it's so well shot the way they show their faces, and you just see the looks on their faces, when he says, when he says, how's it feel working for the Fuhrer and stuff, like, and his head drops and he knows he's doing the wrong thing, but they both have this similar passion for it, and they both have an understanding, and Belloq knew straight away that he wasn't going to blow it up. Yep. And it's a really good scene, and it just shows that he can't do it. He can't do it. And
there's a real depth to the characters as well. I mean, you talked about the backstory before. They feel really developed.
They do. I was going to add, they handle. I mean, they introduce the Nazis. The swastika is in the film quite a fair bit. That is often a taboo subject that could get films cancelled or turned off. They never say Hitler's name, right? They call him the Führer or Germany or whatever it might be. I think they handled it very well, and yet still could put it, because they wanted Indiana to be up against the worst of the worst baddies, right? Marvel created Thanos. Who's the worst baddie that's ever existed? Neo-Nazis.
The war actually hadn't started yet. This was like the year before.
I know, but they were still seen as
they were still
not nice guys, were they?
Prevalent. And the second movie, if we're moving on to that, was this.
Sorry, can I, Rob? Sorry, just jump back to what Rowan said. I actually had something written down that they do. There is a it's a creative anti-Nazi stance, but it's not in your face. So when you're watching it, yes, you know they're the baddies, but they do it really creatively to not have them as the ultimate baddies, you know, because it was pre-war and it was, you know, it wasn't yet to the point where they were such a concern. But I just thought they did that aspect of it really well.
I thought
while
they handled it well,
you know,
for a subject that is so difficult.
Yes, still not dwelling on the audience having a good time. You know, I thought they handled that aspect quite well. Sorry, Rob, to butt in.
No.
Okay, so talk us through the next set of films, because I've got some strong opinions on some of them.
Well, the next one was set the year before, so it's a standalone prequel to Raiders, where India escapes Shanghai after a deal goes wrong and crash lands in India. It's called Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, or Temple.
Don't be smart.
Where was I? We got lounge singer Willie Scott and 11-year-old sidekick Short Round. The trio discovers a village devastated by the theft of a sacred Sankara stone and missing children, and their quest leads them to the sinister Thugi cult led by Mola Ram deep within the Pankot Palace.
Sol Ram, Mola Ram. That's why they do the song when they sing in the Puma. Yeah.
And I mean, I've just got listed here key scenes. I don't know if you want to talk about these movies or if you just want me to kind of quickly list
just go. Do we like it? I like it, but nowhere near the first one. If the first one's 10 out of 10, 7.5, 8. It's you, Matt?
Look, interestingly, my ratings of all films go from first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So I like The Temple of Doom. I like The Last Crusade. I was a bit disappointed with Crystal Skull, and Dial of Destiny sort of, I don't know, it just didn't hit it, didn't have the same magic. But the other thing I think that why I like Raiders as easily the best of them all is that I just felt the films got a little bit cheesy, and like I said before, seemed to be a little bit more based for kids, and you know Indy wasn't as hard. He was a little bit cheesier. It was a bit like Han Solo in Return of the Jedi. I felt he turned into a little bit of a wetbag in Return of the Jedi, and wasn't as hard.
The first movies are always better. They're original. They're standalone. Yeah. It's
other than Back to the Future, I would agree.
Yeah, maybe.
Right.
I mean,
hey,
Back to the Future is by far the best. Come on, the first one.
No, the Sports Almanac in 2 is unbelievable.
For me,
it's good, but you can't. Yeah. Sorry.
Go again.
No, go.
I was going to say, for me, when we hit the Crystal Skull, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and the UFO took off, I was at the movies with Jeremy, a friend of the podcast, and we watched it, and we were like looking at each other going, this is bizarre. You know, this UFO taking off. For me, that was when I went, you know what? It's enough. You don't need to do it. But then when they talk, and that was in 2008.
Sorry, have you missed the Sean Connery one?
No, we talked about that the Last Crusade. I just wanted to talk more about how far-fetched they were.
Go on.
And particularly with the Dial of Destiny as well. But everyone is going to go and watch that because it's Harrison Ford back in his iconic character. It's like
you got
Rocky.
The built-in audience.
You watch Rocky 5 or you want to watch it because you've got history with the character.
Well, you have to see the ending. You got to, right?
Yeah. So that's all I really wanted to talk about with the film.
Well, interestingly, just touching on Dial of Destiny, it was interesting that they CGI'd Harrison Ford's face for about 10 minutes of the start of that film because they had that flashback. And that I remember watching that going, like, it's just bringing me back to Raiders. The look, his, you know, again, best looking character in movie history. So I felt like I was like, I don't mind this CGI. I just was happy watching Indy back at that age. But it just didn't have the magic.
No,
so I turned off earlier than you guys, right? The Last Crusade ruined it for me. I love Sean Connery, he's my favourite Bond. But it's an action wit series. It's not slapstick. And I felt with River Phoenix in it and the chasing. And
I enjoyed that.
I couldn't stand it. And I think I've watched bits of the other ones.
Well, The Last Crusade was good because it talked about his scar. There was an incident right at the start when he used his whip and he got a mark on his chin. So that kind of fills in why Harrison has got this mark on his chin. Why he's scared of snakes was explained in that movie as well when he fell into the snake pit. No, that was for me up there as one of the better ones. I really enjoyed it.
I agree. I agree, Rob. I did like the opening of The Last Crusade showing the flashback with River Phoenix. But yeah, similar to Temple of Doom, The Last Crusade, it just had a bit too much cheese in it for me.
I agree.
It sort of had, it just slapped, like you said, Rowan, a bit more slapstick and just didn't have the hard edge and well-rounded effects that Raiders had, for sure.
Can we one more on Raiders? Then we'll get into some other segments. One scene we didn't talk about on the boat, right? When they can't find him, right? And because you're wrapped up, you think he's unbelievable. He swum 200 meters across the sea. There he is, sir. And they play them when you play. It's the music. Once you play the music, you can think he could fly, right? And there he is, swimming across in his outfit again. He never gives up. God, he reminded me of John McClane.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good pickup, Rowan, because that scene when you see all the pirates and the sailors and the captain just does this one, it's just brilliant, and he's on the top of the submarine, and
there he
the
is,
music
they
kicks
point
in.
to
It's just like he's just like Belloq says, you're going to give mercenaries a bad name. He just never gives up, and
and the Nazi says,
interesting that scene on the submarine is something that it gets brought up a lot, is like how the hell did he get to the island on the submarine? And interestingly, I saw footage. So I don't know if submarines back in the day didn't fully submerge, but the periscope, there was footage of, they filmed Harrison Ford on the periscope freezing his ass off in the water, just holding on to dear life to this periscope. And one scene you do see actually in the movie is when the submarine's heading to the island, you can actually see Harrison Ford still holding on to the periscope in that one scene.
There you go.
So if you go back and watch it, you'll see him sort of on top of the submarine, which sort of answered all the questions of how the hell did he get to the island.
It's so good. Even when the Nazi guy says, give us Dr. Johns, and then we'll decide whether we blow you out of the water. Like he was just. I get wrapped right into it. Good pick, Matt. Absolutely. It was a great pick.
Great pick.
It was a great pick,
Matt. Unless you want to add anything else, we can do it after as well. We're going to jump into a new segment which you haven't heard. It's called Rowan Reminisces, and Rowan's going to talk to. Well, he'll explain it after this jingle. Rowan Reminisces.
So I'm going to take us all back to the film it was set in 1936. So I'm just going to give you some data, some trivia, and a couple of questions along the way.
Are we quiz?
A little bit of a quiz is always something, and it's obviously harder to find. So 1936 Raiders is set, and so that's what we're going to talk about. So I'll give you to start.
A ridiculous year. Wouldn't you have brought it to 1980, whatever, when it was made?
No, I've done 1936, and the nominees for best film were The Great Sigurd, San Francisco, Romeo and Juliet,
San Francisco,
Live Land Lady, Dodsworth, Anthony Adverse. Do you have an answer for best film?
San Francisco.
The answer is The Great Sigurd. Best actor nominees.
Are you serious? You're going to do that?
You said to me on another show, I might not know them. Now you don't know them, you don't like it. So choose. You made your bed.
Not familiar with the 1936.
1936 Best Actor.
Barbara Stanwyck.
Paul Munich, Spencer Tracy, William Powell, Walton Houston, Robert Montgomery. The winner?
What, can we count the movies from which they were chosen?
The Story of Louis Pasteur, San Francisco, My Man Godfrey, Dodsworth, Night Must Fall.
Spencer Tracy.
No, it was Paul Muni.
I apologise for this, Matt.
Do you want these, Matt?
Interesting. Always interested to hear new trivia and stuff like this, but I cannot give you anything because I don't know a lot of these movies. So
yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, well I won't give you. Yeah, I'll give you some rightio. Some global politics of the day. The Spanish Inquisition was beginning. Edward VIII became king of the UK, and it was the rise of the Nazis in Germany. Here's one for you. In 1936, who won 4 gold medals? Come on.
Jesse, the runner. Jesse.
Yes, Jesse who?
Jesse. This is what happens when
Owens.
you get old. You just start forgetting. Jesse Owens. Yes.
Jesse Owens. And why that's famous is because there's Hitler trying to create the Aryan
Berlin.
race. And here's a black
Yeah.
guy who goes out and wins four medals.
Yeah.
The Hoover Dam. You love Las Vegas. The Hoover Dam was finished in 1936.
Pretty amazing technology, even back for back.
Okay, so now's the fun part. Okay, I've given you some trivia. God forbid you might actually listen. And you talk about children's attention span. His is about 10 seconds.
What is?
We spoke, well done. We spoke earlier on the podcast. You said the best looking actor of all time is Harrison Ford. You said you'd turn for James Heard. So twice you've insinuated your love of other men.
Nothing wrong with that.
Okay, I'm going to tell you who this man, okay, question number one.
Give us a clue.
I am going to give you a clue. He's, in my opinion, the best looking actor that's ever lived. His first name and second name start with the same letter. I am, and I died in the last 12 months.
Oh.
Robert Redford.
Bang!
Oh, well. Good one.
Great
Good
get.
pick. Great pick.
Where's he in your love interest?
Well, Steve McQueen
Butch
as well.
and Sundance. Look, Robert Redford's up there. Very, very good-looking man. Very, very charismatic actor. So up there. Not sure number, but definitely up there.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
good
still
pick.
think Harrison tops it with him. Paul Newman's.
Guys, it doesn't matter who you bring up for me. And Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones in Raiders Lost Ark, not Blade Runner, not Han Solo, just as Indiana Jones in
What
Raiders.
about Richard Kimball?
When he-
What about us, Richard Kimball?
Oh, no, doesn't cut it then. Like he just
Fair enough.
he's a bit older and good
When
film.
Indy pops out the shadows right at the start there, your kind of mouth is
It's the
dropped.
hat. It's the hat.
It's the shadows.
But-
It's the build-up.
But but also like with the glasses and the clean shaven and the suit on, he's a very handsome man. And I can
All right,
see why
ready?
all the students have written "I love you" on their eyelids
Oh,
and stuff.
yeah, that's right. Okay, this another person, a famous person. This is a TV star. We've mentioned him on the podcast quite a few times. Was the star in a leading role of a TV show based on an army setting in a comedy. His name is also the first letter and second letter. The first letter of his first name and the first letter of his surname are the same letter.
Of an army show.
Of an army show.
Alan Arkin in MASH.
Alan Alda from MASH. Well done.
Alan
Very
Alda.
good.
Yeah, I
Very
saw that.
good.
That's
Yeah.
He's impressive here. 2-0.
very good.
Okay, we've only got two more questions, or three more questions. Rob can still win. This person is born a legendary actor from films such as, I'll take the answer straight away, so call it out. He's been in Apocalypse Now. He's been in Easy Rider. He's been in Speed.
Dennis Hopper.
Bang!
Dennis Hopper.
3-0, straight sets.
Yes.
Well done. This band, the lead singer of this band that sang a song, That'll Be the Day When They Take Goodbye.
Buddy Holly.
Bang, 3-1. Well done. This person is the only person in basketball NBA history to score 100 points
No idea.
in one game. There's all stories about how many women he's had. He is famous. He is Wilt who?
No idea. Hole.
Wilt Chamberlain. You heard of Wilt Chamberlain?
My son will know. My son will know that. He knows
Well,
everything
ask
about
him.
basketball.
Ask him Wilt Chamberlain, 100 points. So that is the trivia from 1936, and that is the end of trivia time.
You're a fool.
Rowan's
one.
Reminiscences. That's the end of Rowan Reminiscences, not trivia time. Badly done.
Good adding, boys. I like it. I like
The
it.
worst trivia
It's a bit
time.
stressful, but
No, it's not. The questions are good.
Shocker. I hope when we do Sicario, it's a bit more modern.
He only wants questions in his answer to.
Well, yes.
yeah.
Talk about that before.
I would have known it. I would have known a lot more about 1981 trivia
Sure.
You're
when
going
it
to have to
comes
come on another show. You're going to have to
time
listen
frame.
more. We can't always do current day.
It's not current day. It's
Fair
50
enough.
years ago, 40 years ago.
But that's when the film is set. So I get two choices, Matt. So you know, I get the film when the film is set or when it was released. In 1984, it's been done to death because I'm doing them. I've got a list.
Yeah. Okay.
1936.
It's your segment. It's your segment, Rowan. So you get to choose.
And it's the third
That's
time.
fair
and
enough.
Diplomatically gone on my
You
side.
will not be coming back.
Thank you, Matt.
Okay.
Well played. I think it's time for something else. What about some trivia time?
We've always got time for trivia. Here we go. If I've read out some other stuff that you may have said, apologies. And Matt, jump in with any extra trivia you might have. Budget 20 million, which is about 60 to 70 million in today's money. It earned 354 million, which is about $1 billion today. So it hit the $1 billion mark. At the 1982 Academy Awards, Raiders of the Lost Ark received 5 awards: Best Art Direction, Best Film Editing, Best Sound Editing, Best Visual Effects, and Most Handsome Man. The film received a further 4 nominations: Best Picture, Best Cinematographer, Best Original Score, 39th Golden Globes. It received 1 nomination at the BAFTAs.
Well, what beat it? What beat it?
I don't know, that's your segment.
Do your homework. Do your homework.
George Lucas conceived Raiders shortly after finishing the comedy drama American Graffiti. And you've talked about he was called Smith, and that was removed. It was removed, actually, he hated it because he thought it would remind the audience of the Steve McQueen character, Nevada Smith. Now, the character was loosely based on Clint Eastwood and James Bond. And George Lucas wanted Jones to be a kung fu practitioner and a playboy, funding his lifestyle with the spoils of his adventures. But Spielberg felt the character was complicated enough, being an adventurer and archaeologist. Spielberg suggested making Jones an avid gambler or an alcoholic, but Lucas wanted Jones to be a role model who was honest and true and trusting. Now, you want to shout out some names of actors who were considered to play Indiana Jones?
This here, go on.
There's loads of them.
Oh, you want us to call out names?
Yeah.
De Niro?
No.
Pacino?
Well, Tom Selleck was the probably top of the list as far
Magnum.
as potential.
Yep. He was in them.
Yeah.
Bill Murray, Nick Nolte, Steve Martin.
Bill Murray? Yeah. No good. Keep going.
So just quickly on Tom Selleck, he did a screen test for it, but he didn't get it because he was too wound up with Magnum PI. So he didn't end up taking the role because he had commitments. But there was an episode of Magnum PI they actually did a spoof of Raiders. They called it something Raiders of the Lost Art, and it was about Magnum PI going to one of the Hawaiian Islands looking for this lost art, and they had him dressed up as Indiana Jones. And it was funny because people thought, well, this is what we would have got with Tom Selleck. Thank fuck we went with Harrison Ford.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because we've all got sliding door moments in your life, and that's a sliding door moment for him because whilst he was successful and he's been on Friends and he was Magnum PI, he's never as big as this guy. And Indiana Jones put Harrison Ford into the superstardom, right? What a film. We're all talking about it 40 years later. Yeah. Not talking about Magnum PI 40 years later.
Amazing. A couple more. Steven Spielberg and the writer Melissa Matheson wrote a script during shooting breaks on the location of this film. Melissa Matheson was there to visit her husband Harrison Ford, and Spielberg dictated to her a story idea he had. That script was eventually called E.T., the Extraterrestrial, in 1982. Wow. And finally, the out-of-control aeroplane, which you talked about earlier, actually ran over Harrison Ford's knee, tearing a ligament in his left leg. Lucky for him, the heat had turned the rubber tire soft, so it did not crush the bone. Rather than submit to Tunisian healthcare, Ford had his knee wrapped in ice and carried on. That's it from me, boys. Let's wrap it up and give it a rating. Matt, we will start with you.
Look, to me, this is pretty much a flawless movie. Everything about it is so polished. It's the directing, editing, the action sequences, the score. This is a 5 out of 5 for me, straight up. It has to be. I'm going high, and it always has been a 5 out of 5 film for me. And to summarize in a way, I'd read this thing that was quite, for me, summarized it, and it was also getting back to film and love of film is there's never been a film that so clearly reminds me of why I love movies: to transport your audience through time, evoke their thrill, joy, and anguish, and make the unbelievable believable. And I think that can certainly be said about this film for me.
Very, very well said.
Genuinely beautifully said. Beautifully said. Rowan.
I don't think I've given a 5 out of 5, but I'm bloody close here. All right. I would give this 4.8 out of 5 for everything you just said. The music to me is epic, So as I said to you before, if I hear it, it just takes you away. I'm going to repeat everything you just said, so I don't need to. It's a fantastic film. The follow-ups, the only bit that's disappointing about anything about Indiana Jones was when it started to become comical and not action. I love clever, and this is clever and heartwarming and sincere, and I love everything about it. Well of Souls is it's my favorite pinball game. I love everything about it. It's a brilliant film. 4.8 out of 5.
Okay, well, I think this is the perfect blend of swashbuckling adventure, mythological intrigue, sharp directing, and unforgettable characters. Okay, maybe by today's standards, some of the cultural portrayals and gender dynamics feel dated, but it's cinematic craftsmanship, as you said at the start. It's pacing and iconic status matched only by a few. It's a 4.8 out of 5 for me.
That is probably a record score. For three guys, that's given it nearly, what's that? Out of 15, nearly perfect score, right?
Yeah,
So
very nearly 3 perfect scores
I
there.
reckon you're allowed to come back and pick another film
Matt,
because of that. Well done.
Matt, honestly, that was a real treat. You know movies inside out. I'm a bit perturbed about the Rowan Reminisces segment, and you've beaten me at that. But you're going to come back for Sicario, and hopefully I'll be a bit more present. Thank you very much, Matt, for your time. We really appreciate it. Anything you'd like to finish off with before we sign off?
Loved it. Thanks for having on. Thanks for having me on. It's so bizarre, like talking to you guys live after listening to so many podcasts over the last 6 months. So really enjoyed it. Happy to come back anytime.
Brilliant. We will see you shortly for Sicario. You're a superstar. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Matt. Really loved having you on. But for now, thanks for listening.
Guys. Awesome.
Until next time.